welcome back to the card comparison video series. What we're going to be looking at today, this one's a bit different. I'm not comparing two tarot decks, I'm not comparing similar systems. Well, I guess we'll see how similar these two systems are, but they are not the same brand of deck by any means, but they've got a lot in common. So the two decks I've got in front of me here is the Gypsy Witch fortune telling playing cards. Comes in this little orange, just very, very basic tuck box. Like this, and this is a 52 card deck. And we have the Maybe Lenormand by Ryan Edwards. So if you've seen my previous video of Maybe Lenormand, where I compared it to his other deck, the Plague Marseille, you will have seen this. And this as well as a 52 card pack, with of course the actual Lenormand deck being a 36 card deck, which is why he called it the Maybe Lenormand. So I was originally actually planning on doing something different, but the comparisons between these two decks really caught my eye, and you'll see why. I've had the Gypsy Witch fortune telling cards for a lot longer than the Maybe Lenormand. I would say maybe 2 or so years more I've had this guy, but I've definitely spent a lot more time diving into Lenormand reading over the past year or so. So I would say I've used the Maybe Lenormand a lot more, but I've had the Gypsy Witch cards a lot longer. So keeping that in mind, this of course isn't going to be a historical overview deck. I am a card reader first, so what we're going to talk about is the decks themselves, how they read, and just a little bit about them. So I actually already have them nicely organized for us here to go through, but I will quickly show the backs again. So here we have the Gypsy Witch fortune telling cards. I guess I should switch that around. Let's stay consistent. Here on the left, and I have the Ryan Edwards Maybe Lenormand on the right. So as you can see, we have a number of cards that are, here we go, just zoom in a little bit. We have a number of cards that are the same, if not similar, in terms of what their symbolic association is. But the biggest thing you'll notice is that the numbered associations with the card are not the same, nor are the playing cards in sets. Of course, you'll see here too with the Gypsy Witch fortune telling cards, it tells you a little bit about what's going on in the card. So this is the moon when near is a good omen. It predicts fortune when distant. Or in exposure of your secrets. Ooh, fantastic. We don't have any text, of course, here on the Maybe Lenormand deck, but what I've done here is I've gone through and put together all of the same cards, if you will, at least symbolically. So it's not in any particular order, like I'm not going numerically 1 through whatever. But we're going to start with the ones that are in both decks, and then I will move to slowly to ones that we don't see in either of them. So here we have the Rider, and again, so this is number 1 in our Lenormand pack, number 14 in the Gypsy Witch cards. And another thing as well, so if you're a Lenormand reader, like myself, who likes to use the playing card insets, you're going to notice they're not the same. So here we have the Jack of Diamonds, and here we have, what is that, the 9? 9 of Hearts. So if you're working with playing card insets, of course these cards are going to read very, very differently. So here we have the Snake cards, which again, I mean, this being a significator often for different women. We have the Queen of Clubs, where we at least have the same suit as we didn't before. So here we have the 8 of Clubs, with the playing card here on the left. And I don't know, I've never really seen folks use the number, like the number 7 or the number 13 particularly in the card. Perhaps you could, but if that's something that you work with in either of these systems, you'll find that it's not directly transferable between these two. So here we go. You can see that okay? Yeah, okay, great. So we have the Fox. Here we have the Woman or the Lady. The card of the Mouse in the Gypsy Witch deck, and we have Mice in the Maybe Lenormand. Card of the Ring. That one I find quite interesting because they've given the Queen of Hearts the ring in the Gypsy Witch cards, versus the Ace of Clubs in in the Lenormand pack. So this one is I guess kind of, I should have put this in my maybe pile, but it's pretty darn close. So in the Gypsy Witch cards we have the Park, and I mean in the Lenormand pack it could be the Park, but I believe it's mostly referred to as the Garden. We have the Anchor in each, but again, like vastly different in terms of its numerical order and in the playing card insets. We have the mountains, tower. And that's one thing you'll see too with the Gypsy Witch cards. A lot of times it will tell you right on the card, if surrounded, like this one says, the tower surrounded by clouds denotes sickness, and if adjoining, death. So take that as you want. If you're someone who likes to have that bit of information on your cards, I myself typically don't, but I learned to love this Gypsy Witch Oracle for all of the beauty that it is. So here, sorry, we have the birds, the ship, the scythe, and that's a big difference too. I guess I've gotten very used to seeing particular court cards show up with particular Lenormand cards, and seeing the 10 of diamonds with the scythe, that's a much more interesting, well, not necessarily a more interesting combination, but just something I'm really personally not used to. Here we have the heart, which, yeah, okay, so we've got the 9 of diamonds with the heart on the Gypsy Witch. I don't know, I like that as well. Okay, this isn't a course in reading playing cards, but I'm just showing these two decks, because I had someone ask me once before, is the Gypsy Witch a Lenormand deck? And it is not. But as you can see here, like, so here we're in number 3 and number 4, both cards of the house with 6 of hearts and the King of Hearts. Here we have the sun, the coffin, the book, the rod, or I think some people call that one the whip, the Lenormand pack, the man or the gentleman. Oh my goodness, sorry. Cat walking through needing some attention, sorry about that. Get down. Okay, so here we have the letter in each. The clouds. Star. Pretty darn close. We have the tree and the trees. Crossroads, or the roads, I guess, in your Gypsy Witch deck. But you can see the imagery is even rather similar. We have the dog, the fish. And yeah, I mean, symbolically that's pretty similar. So it says the fish is the emblem of riches through stalks, but if distant, it foretells failure and disaster. Well, okay, maybe not so much, but in the realm of fortune and money, we certainly see that with the fish. Both here we have the key, the bear, the lilies, the child or the children, the stork, clover, and the bouquet. So that is our traditional Lenormand pack. So that's our 36 cards. And I've taken 36 of the Gypsy Witch cards to mirror with that. So I want to go through now the maybe part of the Maybe Lenormand, where we see the additional cards getting up to 52, so 36 to 52, that we see as well in the Gypsy Witch cards. So this is the railroad. And again, we, just one more time for you, 2 of clubs and the 5 of spades. So we don't see the same insets either in each. We have the money safe, broken glass, lightning, okay, I just thought that this guy here was Cupid, but here it says Amor, so pretty close. I'm still gonna put those two together. Here we have, so this one I don't think is exactly the same. So we have the flames in the Gypsy Witch pack, and then the hearth, I believe, the fireplace. It's a little perhaps more tame in the Lenormand deck. We have the eye, the rose or roses, hand in hand, the lion, the pig, the rapiers or rapiers, and the cat. So as you can see, we have again very, very similar cards, or if not the same cards in terms of their symbolic imagery at the bottom, and different playing card insets. So these are in my, this is in my kind of sort of pile. So here we have sort of the metal, the medallion here in the Lenormand deck, and this says the Order. That's pretty darn close. I would say that can probably actually go in my more certain pack, or pile, should I say. But here, okay, so here we have the wine. It says the wine is a symbol of cheerfulness and gaiety. Here we, this isn't exactly wine, but we got, you know, little guy in the bathtub drinking his wine. So, and he's even like, you know, the little basket, so similar to the wine holder there. I put that one in my possibly very similar to each other. And then, so what we're left with in each of the pack is a few cards that don't exactly match up. So the two that we have left from the Gypsy Witch cards, we've got the Jack of Spades and the King of Spades. This is the Shepherd and the Bride. And then from the Lenormand pack, we have the Cross. And I believe this one is the day bed or the sick bed, often to denote, you know, a caregiver or someone in that situation. So yeah, these are the cards that don't match up. But as you can see, for the most part, you know, the majority of the deck that I have here on both sides is this is my full Lenormand pack of the traditional 36 is pretty well mirrored, and we can find every single card in the Gypsy Witch deck. And then even in our extra, our maybe cards, we see a very, very similar overlay as well. Let me put these all back in order. So just a quick, I guess, size comparison as well, because it wouldn't be a total deck comparison without such a thing. So the Maybe Lenormand is a little bit smaller. Well, I guess in terms of width, it's a bit shorter, but it's just a hair. We go here. The cards are just a hair taller. So you can see that. The cards are pretty small. I mean, in terms of traditional playing card size, these are both even just in the realm of tarot. So here we've got the Smithwaite Centennial, the borderless editions. This one's a bit bigger than the bordered one, but they're pretty small cards, both of them. So they're very nice, you know, pocket hand size little cards. I might actually cut the borders off this one. I don't know. I like I like pointy cards, but that's a topic for another day. Yeah, so I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts if anybody else works with either of these decks. Do you have either of them? Do you read with them? What do you think? And all the rest. I can't even say particularly myself that I prefer one deck over the other, because I think that that's not really fair, because I'm not comparing similar systems here. I am personally a lot more familiar with the Lenormand Oracle because I've worked with it a heck of a lot more. But there's a real charm to this Gypsy Witch deck. I really like the imagery. I like how big the insets are. If it didn't have the little writing here on the side, and perhaps had the same insets as the Lenormand, just because I'm so used to it, I would really, really love this deck. But always, of course, read with the deck you have, not the one you have in your mind. So when I pull these cards, I'm not thinking of the insets that are in the Lenormand deck. But yeah, I mean, as you guys know, as I've said many times in other videos and other posts, the Maybe Lenormand is my favorite Lenormand deck that I have found to date. There's a couple that I've got recently that come close, and perhaps that'll be videos for another time, but just, I adore this artwork. I adore the simplicity, the color palette, just everything that he's done here is perfection. Honestly, I adore this deck so much. So yeah, these are the two decks, the Gypsy Witch Oracle, or the Gypsy Witch Fortune Telling cards. I purchased these on Amazon. I can leave the link down below. They're very inexpensive, which is nice. If you're looking for a deck that you want to have packing around in your purse, it's also very small and compact, and it's very flimsy cardboard box. So I might even actually pick up another pack because it's really fun. It does offer, I guess we should go through the whole thing. It does have a little instructions how to tell fortunes, and it does offer the short reading and the little tableau here that it offers, and then it's got the diagram number 2 that they call the long reading. So it's a nice little pamphlet. It doesn't really go through, it doesn't actually at all discuss each card because the cards have the writing on them itself. And I will just say here too, so the Gypsy Witch cards do come with 2 extra jokers as well as 1 regular joker. And there's different sorts of layouts and spread for yes or no and will your wish come true and all the rest in the Gypsy Witch Fortune deck. The Maybe Lenormand, if you haven't seen my video before, a lot bigger. Let me actually zoom just back out a hair. Yeah, so a much bigger box by comparison. This is, you know, just the size of the cards. It's a really nice magnetic clasp box, and it's got a really excellent guidebook. I've said before, Ryan Edward is an excellent reader, and he's definitely done his homework in terms of working with the cards, so it's certainly worth a read. Really nicely put together little guidebook, and the 2-part tuck box with the ribbon. Thank you. And yeah, a little magnetic clasp, and this is the box here. So I don't know that I had too much more to say. Like I said, I've definitely worked with the Maybe Lenormand a lot more, but this Gypsy Witch just has some sort of very timeless charm to it. I really like working with it. I mostly use it for myself. This is a deck that I don't mind traveling with, taking to beaches, taking to the river, taking to the lake, taking to the park, because honestly, it's quite inexpensive, and it is, in a sense, much more replaceable than possibly more expensive decks. And they're beautiful, right? Like, this artwork in itself is really gorgeous. I would like to also pick up another Maybe Lenormand because I like to have a purse deck of my favorites. And so far I'm using the Blue Owl Lenormand, which perhaps that'll be another video that I should do. But anyways, I digress. I believe that was everything I wanted to say on here. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you have a favorite of these 2 decks? Have you ever read with either of them? Which artwork do you like better? Do you like either of these systems better? I have seen in the world some people having a hard time with the Gypsy Witch, saying that they messed up the Lenormand, which, sure, but I don't think it was meant to ever be the Lenormand. You know, I think it was, I treat it as its own separate system. I couldn't be bothered to be irritated with design differences of different systems and different decks. So with that being said, I believe that's all I wanted to wrap up. I think I did show the backs. We'll just pop those there for now. Thanks again for watching. Really appreciate everybody's support, and we will be back next month with another installment of our card comparison series. So hope everyone is doing well, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you for engaging with us.